Hey, gang, welcome to Up the Middle. I'm your host, Yergz. This is going to be an editorial that we're going to sometimes sneak in and just kind of get an opinion out there and see what your opinion is and whether or not it matches or exactly see where you fall. Whether you're watching or listening, here's the social media platforms. If you're watching, you're seeing them on the screen anywhere you want to be at Up the Middle and at Talk TV 24. You can find us on either one with soon to be a website, yergz.com. There's 5 of the podcasting locations that we're on. The others, let's take a look at all of them. Spotify, that's our main hub. That's what I send everything to, and it sends it to the rest. Those rest are Apple Podcasts, Google, Buzzsprout is coming soon. So, Buzzsprouters, hang in there if you're watching or listening to this somewhere else, but you're a Buzzsprout kind of person. We'll be there soon enough. iHeart, Amazon, Castbox, Public Radio, and Stitcher. And Stitcher is another hub. They send us to Pandora and Sirius XM. Once you find us, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, turn the notifications on so when we do something like this last minute, you're going to find out about it. And lastly, a little bit of a housekeeping thing. You see this big mess on the side of my head. For those of you that can watch, for those of you that cannot, you may remember from some previous episodes, I am recovering from a mild form of skin cancer. So that's why the stitches are in the side of my head, and that white splotch over top is a face cream. Not quite sure why I can't shower with the door closed to the bathroom and the door closed to the shower. All that has to be open with all the steam blowing out so as to not get that side of my face too moist. Yet there we are with a skin cream to keep it moist. Whatever, doctor knows better than I do, and I'm following. I am somewhat conservative, but I am still a person of science. On to our sponsor for tonight. It is Aroma by Peter. This candle smells awesome. It helps me kind of keep a more even, right and left. And I love it. It's a great odor. That is a salted caramel. But go to aromabypeter.com/doggy traders and place your order with that slash so that they know you came from us. Occasional editorials such as this will be showing up throughout the series. Tonight, we're going to talk about Republican double talking. So, this weekend, we saw probably one of the most successful activities take place in federal government, a compromise. The McCarthy Biden or Biden McCarthy deal is agreed to in principle and should be voted through the Congress and preventing us from hitting 2 now scheduled debt ceilings. The extension of June 5th is going to be beat easily, but will also beat the original deadline of June 1st, which is pretty awesome. And personally, my kudos to both President Biden and Speaker McCarthy for doing the compromises necessary and getting that deal done. Now, we're hearing stuff from the extreme right, the MAGA right, and the woke left, the far left. Stop. A judge once told me, when both parties leave my courtroom pissed off, I made the right decision. And the MAGA right and the woke left are those parties, which means this is the right compromise. Both parties have ideology. On the right, there also exists moral standards, in a way trying to suggest that the left doesn't represent. It seems as though Republicans are pushing more than educating to a point where now the left pushes back with, this is our country, everybody's, not your church. The most recent poster boy for this, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, campaigned on a message here in Florida, keep Florida free. Yet banned books, implemented legislation nicknamed Don't Say Gay, and banned children from drag shows. I can't say that with a straight face. This is actually like the 4th take I did of this video, and I laugh every time. Did he not pass sex ed class? Did he have sex ed class? Drag queens can't have kids. And Republicans wonder why Democrats give them the hairy eyeball when it comes to issues of morality. But we'll get back to that. From this, I want to offer the suggestion: practice, don't legislate. Efforts to attempt to legislate morality failed many times in the past. Prohibition, the war on drugs, sexual misconduct, and even homosexuality itself. So, if sex with minors and indoctrination is a concern, let's look at who is having sex with minors. Is it the drag queens or the GOP? Drag queens are accused of indoctrination, while congressional members, family members, and other members of the GOP are caught exposing themselves, showering with their students, giving extra physical exams to wrestlers with thumb injuries, and every other type of sexual misconduct that they are legislating against. So let's remember, drag queens are the problem. Really? Name one. Oh, wait. Got one. Rhonda Santis. Can't wait to see what she looks like. On the other side of the GOP, there are Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who only recently was cleared of sex trafficking charges. Teachers, coaches, Lauren Boebert's husband, Representative Jim Jordan and the Ohio State wrestling sex scandal, former Representative Dennis Hasser and his wrestling sex scandal. I'm seeing a fetish here. Well, there's football too. My alma mater, former Penn State assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky was indicted on 40 counts of sexual misconduct and rape, and a long list of other state and local government officials and community leaders, most of them card-carrying Republicans. And let's not forget allegations from within their own party. Now ousted representative from North Carolina, Madison Cawthorn, who claimed that he was invited to coke-filled orgies with white old men. On some other podcast, Cawthorn discussed the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington and said some of his older colleagues had invited him to orgies. Said Cawthorn, I mean, being kind of a young guy in Washington, where the average age is probably 60 to 70, and I look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics. Then all of a sudden, you get invited. Hawthorne continued to quote one such exchange. Oh, hey, we're going to have some kind of sexual get-together at our homes tonight. You should come. I'm like, what did you just invite me to? Then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. Like he didn't know, said the guy who's on video humping his roommate. But remember, the drag queens. I've always been taught that the United States is either a mixing bowl or a melting pot of different ethnicities, cultures, personalities, and nationalities. And that was more than 30 years ago. Yet we still have the Bible-thumping right trying to close borders and rewrite critical race theory. Fact is, there are multiple races in the US, even as far back as 1865 and much farther, when both Democrats and Republicans only counted some of those minorities as 3/4 of a person. We are not that far back. Or are we? While the 3/4 compromise may have fit the time for the mid-1800s, the legislation coming today that marginalizes minorities of all kinds are simply a blast from the past suggesting fascism and the Fourth Reich. Don't forget, see my 3-part series on Stonewall and the Fourth Reich. While the left seems to be preaching an ideology of inclusivity, and don't worry, they'll be targets of my rants too, the right seems to be focusing their ideology on moral standards that they can't keep up with. One side wants to provide everybody an education without providing ways to pay for it. The other side's view of an education consists of banning books and flat-out lies. neither of which are good for society. So, as we enter into another exciting Republican presidential primary filled with lies, accusations, name calling, and pandering to an audience that can barely pay attention due to their own lack of an attention span, lack of education, or downright lack of interest, let's remember what we should have learned back in 2016 when such candidates actually had an appeal. You no longer have to be able to spell Google to be able to use it. Do your homework, fact check, and remember, while one network that paid approximately $1 billion because of lying, I know, 787 million. But when you consider attorney's fees, lost ad revenue, and so on, getting close. And they're set to pay another $1 billion due to another lawsuit. Well, the other side of the political spectrum ain't much better. Or at least their reputation isn't. Reach out to the candidates. Ask hard questions. Look at their previous track record. It's public record. When they tell you that they kept Florida free, ask yourself, did they? Or has it been a usual case where the one that you want to be your favorite candidate is plagued with saying one thing while doing another? Do your research. Let the intelligence that you gather form your opinion, not the other way around. And maybe, as you learn, good and bad, about candidates from both sides, you'll learn to do something important on your own. Compromise. One closing remark. Some friends and neighbors reminded me that my show and the resulting viewpoints are up the middle. And they proceeded to ask why this video seems to be so hard on Republicans. Well, my answer was, you're correct. I do criticize both sides of the political spectrum. However, it just seems that recently the Republicans have been keeping me a little busy. And it will be a long primary season. There's so much more to come and plenty of time for both. Stay tuned for our next editorial where we analyze the criticisms from both the left and the right of the Biden-McCarthy deal and figure out why neither of those criticisms are what this country needs. As always, citations are available in the comments on my YouTube channel. I'm Yergz, and together, we're up the middle. Thanks for joining.